4.
Whenever you're ready.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Truth Worth Living, where we seek to understand God's Word so we can live in God's will. Just before Jesus' departure, he spent a great deal of time preparing his disciples for his return. Matthew 24 and 25 records some of the signs and parables that he used to get them ready. 3 of the parables were all about waiting. The first 2 stories highlight the extremes that we should avoid as we wait. The first is a warning against waiting as if it's never going to happen, and the second warns us against acting as if it's going to happen tomorrow. Jesus makes it abundantly clear those are foolish extremes, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But the final parable paints a picture of wise waiting. This is what he says in Matthew chapter 25, beginning in verse 14. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I've gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you're a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So, obviously, I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has been given more. Let's start back at that paragraph.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What does it say?
Can you maybe read just a little ahead of that?
Yeah, I will. Okay. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now here's the scene. The master's going on a trip and will return at some unspecified time in the future. While he's gone, he expects his servants to not just guard his estate, but to grow it. He gives them bags of gold to invest. This was not only a privilege, but a responsibility. For 2 of the servants, the gravity of the assignment combined with the indeterminate length of his trip created urgency and activity. For Jesus said they both went at once and got to work. They understood that they had no time to lose. Proving faithful to the assigned task was their top priority, so they got right to work to fulfill their obligations. And they did it. When the master finally returned to settle the accounts for the reckoning, they had good news. Each had doubled his investment. The master was thrilled, labeled them good and faithful servants, and he explained that he was enlarging their territory, and then he invited them to celebrate. Now, the results of the third servant, who, by the way, turns out to be the focus of the parable, they were not great. Remember, he had a very different response to the gold that was entrusted to him. He too had urgency, that's true, but it wasn't to grow the money, it was to guard it. In fear, he immediately went out, dug a hole, and buried it. Why? Because he was focused on himself rather than the master, which, by the way, made him fearful rather than faithful. When the master met with him, the servant saw immediately that he had wasted the opportunity of his lifetime and entered the spin zone, literally pushing the blame for his failure onto the master. Do you remember what he said? Master, I knew you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. His failure was the master's fault. Judging the way the master operated, he accused him of being a hard, ruthless, and even unscrupulous businessman. So he gave the money back, believing that absolved him of his responsibility. Now, needless to say, his accusations didn't go over well. The master pointed out that if he believed that about him, then he should have at least invested the money where he would get some return on the investment. But he didn't believe that. The real issue was that this servant was wicked and lazy. Okay, his wickedness came from the fact that he leveled unjust accusations at the master, judging him for the way he did business. And his laziness showed itself in the fact that he refused to do the work. For his wickedness and his indolence, the money was taken away from him and entrusted to one who was faithfully working on behalf of the estate. Then the lazy servant was summarily dismissed from the fold. Now remember, that story illustrates wise waiting on Jesus. What does wise waiting do? It avoids the extremes, always avoids the extremes. Wise waiting doesn't think Jesus is delaying too long and there is nothing we need to do now, nor does it think he's coming tomorrow morning and there's nothing we can do now. Wise waiting is about being and doing the work of the kingdom of God that he has assigned to each of us based upon our talents, knowing that there will be a reckoning for our service. Here's the question today. Are you waiting wisely? It's a truth worth pondering, and this is truth worth living. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, and give you peace. I'll see you tomorrow night as we continue our study in the Sermon on the Mount. Have a great day.